your host, Sophia, and today my guest is Ashley DelBello. She is a transformational coach and trauma informed breathwork practitioner who works with high achieving women to help them find clarity and alignment in their life and work. Welcome, Ashley. How are you
Hey,
today?
thank you, Sophia. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am amazing. I'm just so glad to be here, and I love doing this, and I love having on amazing people who can just help my listeners just level up.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's what we're here for. And I think, yeah, conversations like this, I think are so good and energizing and valuable. So I'm excited to be here too.
Yay. Okay, so tell us a little about you and how you came to be where you are right now.
Yeah. So as you said, I am a coach and a trauma-informed breathwork practitioner, but I was not always that. Before that, I was in the corporate world for 15 plus years. I was doing PR and communications for pharmaceutical and biotech companies. And if you can imagine, that's a pretty fast-paced, high-intensity job that I was go, go, go all of the time. And it was something that was great until it wasn't. And the last couple of years in that career, I really started to be burnt out and, well, completely exhausted, which goes hand in hand with the burnout, but also just really unfulfilled and depleted. And my soul felt depleted and like the life was being sucked out of me. And I started developing anxiety during that time as well, which is something that I never really had struggled with before, and I think, I was just had gotten to a point where I was just really, um, in a miserable spot, and so I was traveling for work, actually, and I broke down to one of my friends and was like, "I can't do this anymore." She was actually in the place where I was, and I met up with her, and I was like, "I can't do this anymore." But I don't know what else to do. I've been doing the same thing for at that point in my life, it was like 15 plus years. And I was like, I, I have things to pay for. We have a mortgage. We have like bills to pay. I can't just like skate on by for the rest of my life. And she was like, have you ever thought about working with a coach before, a life coach? And I was like, no, but I am open to anything and everything right now. And she was like, she did something similar that in terms of a career that I was in. She's like, I've been working with someone for the last 6 months, and she's like, it's really been helpful for me. And she's like, why don't you check it out? And so I started doing some research and found a life coach, interviewed a couple, and found one who I really connected with. And from the beginning, that just started opening me up to so much more of like what life is about and what life can be. It changed my perspective of what was possible for myself. It also helped me see why I was feeling so out of alignment. I mean, those weren't words that I was using at that time, but they're words that I use now. Why I was feeling so disconnected, why I was feeling so burnt out, why I was struggling and not feeling the joy and the fulfillment that I think we're actually meant here to be feeling in this life that we live. And so through working with her, I completely transformed my outlook on what was possible, but also worked with her to help her figure out, like, okay, what's next? What makes sense for me? What's next? Because I do still need to work and whatever. And I enjoy working. And so through working with her, I was able to figure that out. But I also like all these things about myself, but I was also like, I want to help other people do this, right? Like, I know so many women who are in places in their lives. At that point, I was in my late 30s and who were at this like crossroads of like, cool, I did all the things. I climbed that corporate ladder. I have the house and the kids and the family, whatever it is, right? And I'm still not feeling fulfilled. I'm still not feeling, I'm like, you get to a place where you're like, this is it, really? And so that's when I was like, I know this is powerful work. I wish it was stuff we were taught when we were younger, but that's when I was like, okay, I want to help other women do this and shift into this type of living. versus maybe some of the ways that we've been conditioned or taught to live. And so that's when I started training to become a coach, and that was almost 6 years ago. So that's kind of how I got into the work and where I'm in now. So yeah.
So what's interesting is one of the things he said, when I went to the coach, I wasn't talking about being in alignment
Right.
and that's the thing, because I think once we're coaches, we start because we're looking at things differently, you
Yeah.
start talking like that. But just for the sake of the listeners who might be in the same space that you were,
Right.
but aren't resonating with, yes, I'm completely out of alignment. I'm not feeling fulfilled.
Right.
You know, what do you remember some of the words that you used with your coach when you went in, like talking about where you were in your life at that point?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was I think I kept going back to I'm like, I know I wanna go back and look at some of my things, like workbooks and stuff like that, but I keep going back to I was just a anxious, like, a lot of anxiety was there, a lot of frenetic energy, I remember, but, like, it was I identified, like, because anxiety was a word that people grasp to, exhaustion, and just not feeling like myself, feeling off. I think that was probably the biggest thing, was, like, I just felt off, and I didn't
Mhm.
have another way to explain it. I was tired and off, felt off. So I think those were, like, the 2 biggest ways that I would explain it back then. And it just didn't feel good. Everything like, I felt numb. I think that was another word that I used a lot too, was, like, numb.
That and I think and those are words that people can relate to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's so hard, like, when you've gone on the journey, trying to look back, it's like, "What did I
Yeah.
think?"
I know. I'm like,
But,
"Well."
like, I know for me, when I was in that space, I felt like I was dying slowly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still having a joy for life, but on some level, I just felt like I am just dying slowly here.
Like, I think
Something has to change.
yeah, I that was well, and that was the other big thing. It was like I knew something had to change, but I wasn't sure what it was.
Yes.
And that was the other I had that feeling, right? Like something needs to change. I just don't know what it is. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
back to
I
your
remember walking down the street one day because I used to walk all the time at work on my lunch, and I was like, I'm dying.
Yeah, yeah. Mine
Feel
was like, "I
I'm just
can't do
dying
this
on the
anymore."
inside. Yes, it's like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was like, "I can't do this anymore." I had the similar, like, I'm dying, but it was like well, like how you explain it, it's like you still have a joy for life, but everything is muted, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah,
And it's not even, like, in the beautiful, classic black and white way, it's like, it's all the colors that would bloom, but it's like they're it's like I think the best way I could look at it is, like, if you're on Photoshop or one of those things and you just start turning down the color.
yeah, yeah.
So it's not
Exactly.
transparent and the colors are there,
No. Right.
but they're not brilliant
No,
like
they're
they
not.
could be.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, you do and here's something that we hear a lot now too, trauma informed.
Right.
And a lot of people know what that is, and a lot of people still don't. So, can you tell us a little bit about what that means?
Yeah. So the work that what that means, and I'll just break it down. It's basically comes down to safety and choice. And for context around that is being able trauma informed like uh, there is big T's and little T's trauma that we go through our entire lives. Some people have experienced a lot of big T, but as a human being, we've all experienced something that's little T trauma. Whether yeah, all kinds of things. And so understanding that from a practitioner perspective, just knowing that there are things that are happening to people and that they're experiencing or have experienced where we need to just have that understanding at a base level, right? And then through that work with through that understanding and knowing that the trauma informed comes into play with creating that safe space for someone to come to you and to talk to you about whatever it is,
Mhm.
and feel no judgment, and to feel that they can open up and they know that whatever they say is going to be accepted, is going to be, it's okay to to voice that out loud. So it's holding that safe space for somebody under, and what, with the understanding that we've all had come from different experiences and backgrounds and have experienced different events and situations in all different ways. So there's that part of it. And then the other part of it is choice, right? Like, I'm not going to, in my coaching, I'm not going to force you to do anything. Like, I'm not going to say you must do this in order to get X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I'm going to give you options. I'm going to give you choice. I'm going to come back to, what do you feel in your body when I say that? Or when I ask you about that? Or when I recommend something, right? Like, I want you to know that you always have that choice to
Mhm.
say yes, no, maybe, whatever it is, or I'll come back to that, right? So it's giving that choice and those options to know that you always, you're a sovereign adult. You always have that choice to do, and you get to also ask yourself and feel into your body, like what that means for you and what that says for you. Now, there's also work before that to actually understand, like, how you actually hear and listen to your body.
Right.
But
I'm so glad you said that because
yeah,
I
because
was
it's not
just gonna broach into that because
yeah,
sometimes when you're in a space where you're so disconnected
yeah,
because all your colors have been muted for so long that when somebody says, "Well, where do you feel that in your body?" or "How does that feel in your body?" It's like, "Please don't make me smack you because I don't know."
right, right. And, like, a lot of times my clients are like, "I feel nothing right now," and I'm like, "That's okay. Like,
Right?
that's normal, and we're gonna do this slowly, and we're gonna teach you how to get back into your body." So, yeah, I wanna state that that's totally, completely normal, especially because of the society we live in and how we're all like, go, go, go all of the time, and we're so up in our heads all of the time, and which, you know, yes, we need to be in our heads sometimes, but not as much as we are currently, right? So, learning how to actually, like, what that actually means to, like, be in your body and, work with your body and learn how to listen to your body or reconnect with your body, is a big part of the work that I do with my clients at the beginning, so, of our work together, to be able to actually, like, slow down and feel that. So,
Right. And that makes so much sense because once again, living in your head can be a beautiful space, but
yeah,
it just leaves you in a, disconnected. So if you're
right,
living from your neck up all the time, from your neck down, there's just so much more. And if you're not in tune with that, so I like that you talked about how do you listen? How do you hear your body? And how do you listen to your body? Because that's again going to be different for everybody.
yeah,
And something that you just take for granted might actually be your body talking to you.
right,
And, it could be a pain. It could be it could be any number of things. It could even, I think, be noticing how you're breathing.
mhm, yeah,
Like in certain situations, are you not necessarily labeling it as anxiety, but are you having these low, shallow breaths
right,
all the time? And then that's just kind of normal. So you're kind of living in a low level anxiety, but it's your
right, all
normal.
the time, right, yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. That's a beautiful explanation and a beautiful share because, yeah, one, everybody's going to, and that's the work that I do with my clients, is learning how to listen to your own system, your own unique nervous system, your own, and getting to know it better and, like, where you're at now, and, and where we can go with it. But, um, just starting to feel like noticing different sensations in your body, like you said, or noticing your breath, are you shallow breathing all of the time? When's the last time you took a deep breath, right? Like, slow that shit down, right? Like, sorry, I curse sometimes. Um,
It's all good.
um, and like, is that your normal? But the first step is just starting to slow down and notice just what's happening in your body. Like you said, whether it's a pain or whether it's a sensation or whether it's a tightness in your throat or something in your chest or in your stomach. Physical manifestations like pain is also a very good indicator, and where some things are like, okay, something's really gone wrong here. Let's go check that out. But yeah, so
So, something else I wanted to jump back to, you talked about big T trauma and little
Mhm.
T trauma. So, people might not know what that is. And here's a caveat as well. People process what we call trauma in different ways.
yes,
So, what could be a huge big T trauma for somebody is a little T trauma for somebody else. But
right,
let's say, okay, something that just jumps to the top of my mind is sexual abuse. That is a big T.
yes,
That's
yes,
a big T trauma,
yes,
right? That's something that you go through, whether you suppress it, you move through it, or you thought you've dealt with it. That is a big T.
right.
Now, somebody getting into a car accident, that could be a big T
Oh,
trauma for
it's
somebody, or it could be a little T trauma for somebody else.
right.
Something that happened and it was awful, but it didn't sit.
Yeah,
And with somebody else, it could be that same accident, but it really sat with them, and now they're experiencing PTSD every time they get in a car.
right.
So I think that's something that we need to look at. And it's good to have somebody who understands that, you know, you as an individual and how different situations and scenarios may have affected you and not just take for granted that because A happened, naturally it's B for you.
Right.
It may not be B for you.
Um, yes, yeah, 100%. That are everybody's different, right? In terms of like everybody's been through different things, everybody's different, and our nervous systems are all different and unique to ourselves. So that's beautifully said in terms of I'm going to react differently to a car accident than you may react to a car accident, right? I'm going to react differently to maybe I was walking down the street and somebody bumped into me and said something rude to me, right? That could be a little T trauma depending on what's happened previously in my life and depending if where I'm at in my life or depending if how if I process it and acknowledge it, right? I use this example, the car accident is a good example. If our body, if we get into some type of like minor car accident, or maybe it's not even a car accident, we almost get into a car accident, right? And we're shaken up afterwards. And if we just be like, well, I got to get somewhere, so I'm just gonna push, keep going, and get to my next destination, that could turn into something bigger for me because I just kind of like blew past it,
Right.
right? Other than maybe another way to handle it is like, well, maybe like I almost got seriously injured. Maybe I need to pull over and acknowledge it for a minute for when you get home or whatever, right? Whatever feels safe. And let myself release that stress, right? It's what we call a stress cycle response and release. Um, and maybe I just need to shake it out or scream into the a pillow or in my car or whatever, or call somebody and name it and be like, "Hey, I'm really scared. I just got in or almost got into a car accident. I just wanted to call you," and voice it out loud, right? So our body needs to complete that stress response and that
Mm,
reaction. Um, because sometimes it can turn into something bigger than it does if we don't, again, release, let it out. cry, shake, move, scream. They're all
Yeah.
good. They're good
Well,
ways to, like, complete that stress response.
and it's interesting because if you don't know about that cycle, you don't even know where you are in the process. So I got in a car accident. Um, I was in Beverly Hills. I was at a stoplight. Some guy came up and slammed into the back of my car.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I was kind of glad I didn't see him because I had the music on, and so I was loose and I wasn't, badly
Seeing.
injured.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of cool though. Somebody else tried to chase him down because it was a hit and run, and
Oh
then they
gosh.
came back and they said, "Oh, we couldn't catch him." So I was like, "Thanks, for trying," and got the car off and all these things, but I didn't wanna we took the car in to get it fixed, and the guy was like, "1 inch closer and your car would have blown up because it would have taken out the gas tank." And so once I heard that, because I was already, shaken up, and
Mhm.
then here's the thought, I could have died, you know? 1 inch was the difference between life and death,
Yeah.
and
So that
so that really freaked me out, and I didn't wanna drive. I'm laughing now because I love my mom to death. She was like, "You are going to drive." Like, "I don't wanna drive." She's like, "You're going to drive." 'Cause she was driving me around for a while my car was getting
Yeah.
and, she was relentless.
Yeah.
'Cause she's like, "If you don't drive now, you're probably never going to want to again." So that could have just been a whole huge thing,
Yeah.
you know, like, that would have been, like, a huge
Right.
trauma for me.
Right.
Because then I would have stopped driving and the whole thing.
Well, that's a whole
So
impact on your life, right? Like, especially here in LA.
yeah, exactly. So, thank God for my mom, 'cause in those moments, I was not happy with her, but I understand, where she was coming from, and still in those moments, it didn't seem like it was coming from love. The fact that she had me just go through it and go
Right.
through the motions and she drove with me for a little while, but just for me to drive
Right.
and be scared and drive anyway,
Yeah.
and then recognize, "Yes, I'm alive, so hey, you didn't die,
Right.
and you can still drive," and so then I was able to put all the blocks in place and move forward.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you really do need somebody in your life,
Push you a little.
relative, mom,
Maybe a little softer, but yes.
push you because a lot of times people sympathize with where you are, but they're not willing to push you out of your comfort zone or out of your funk.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need somebody who has that strength, who can see beyond where you're looking
Right.
and push you to move forward. So that's where coaches come in if you don't have somebody like that in your life that's just my experience there, which again, grateful for her. But you want somebody who's gonna call you on your bullshit. So
Yeah.
yes, sometimes you need to be nurtured, but you need somebody who's gonna be willing to call you on your stuff
Yeah.
and not
That's what I s yeah.
leave you in it.
Yeah. No, that's what I say in one of my, in my first calls with my clients. It's like, "Yes, I'm here to be your cheerleader and to help you, like, and to help you there and support you, but I'm also here to call you out on your BS too, because we do need a mirror put in front of us sometimes or the encouragement to be like, "Okay, look, you just drove for 5 minutes and you didn't get hurt," or whatever it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can do hard things again. Right, and it's also part of that too is also like you said, retraining your body to know that it's okay. Like, I didn't nothing happened to me. I'm okay,
Yeah.
right, after driving again or whatever the situation is, but yeah.
So one of the things that we talked about before we jumped on the call was how important core values
Yeah.
are. So can we talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, so that was the, like, first one of the first things that really when I was going through this work myself, that helped me really understand and see, like, oh, hey, this is why I have been feeling this way. This is why I feel like my life is miserable and my career is sucking the soul out of me, is because my core values, which I had no clue what they were before working with my coach. So if you don't know what your core values are or what they even are, that's okay. Like I said, some of this work I wish I would have done when I was younger or started when I was younger, but it's neither here or there. That's just how it happens. But your core values are really the things that are important to you. And what I mean by that is like, what do you value? What do you need in your life to that makes you feel alive? What do you love doing? What what are the things that you stand for in your life or in the world as a collective as a whole, right? And if those aren't in your life in some way, then you are that you're not going to feel as joyous as you could be. You're not going to feel fulfilled. And that's what mine was like I was not fulfilled because I didn't have so many of my core values in my current way of how I was living. So core values is another piece of the big work that I do with my clients. And for example, some of my core values are learning and travel and service, wealth, like being resourced, uh, advocacy and social justice, taking part in that uh, as a collective, right? The whole as in our communities. Um, those are the ones that are on the top of my head. But you also get to define what each of those mean to you because everybody's going to have a different definition of wealth or travel or leadership or service, right? So,
Well, it's funny that you say that, that we have to define it because I love to travel, hence travel and transformation.
right. I love to travel too, hence it being one of my core values, and I need it in my life to feel fulfilled and to feel complete. So I get it.
So I'm on a couple of dating sites I was on, that's something that's in my profile. Now, I like to travel internationally, and that's when you say, define what travel means to you.
Yeah.
Now, I will do a road trip, but for me, when I'm traveling, when I think travel in my head, I'm going away to some other country.
I am very similar in that mindset, so I get you.
And then I would talk to people who also put that they like to travel. And, we get to talking, and it's like for them, their definition of travel is staying within the state and maybe going camping.
Right.
And, you know, to me, okay,
That's
fun
great.
adventure for a few days. That's not travel to me. You
And
know,
that's totally fine. Right.
then, um, like on one of the sites, they have a question because they have you fill out a bunch of these questions, and one of them is, would you rather kiss in the woods or kiss in Paris? And I can't tell you how many people want to kiss in the woods, and I'm like, "No, I wanna kiss in Paris."
Like, I wanna be somewhere that is really cool and exciting and romantic, and that's
Right,
it.
so then I have this running joke with myself, it's like, "Do they wanna kiss in the woods because that's where they wanna bury the bodies?" Like,
Oh gosh. You're like, "I'm gonna go all dark."
yeah. Well,
That's
that's
fine.
kinda
I
kinda
read
where
dark
my mind
fantasy as well, so it's fine.
yeah, that's kinda where my mind goes after a while because 'cause I'm like, "There's so many of them." It's like, "Why are they wanting to be in the woods so badly?"
That's so funny because my mind goes to, I think just people are craving nature right now.
I think, there's 2 I watch a lot of those, like Cold Case and,
Yeah, okay.
all those different shows
Yep,
of there are crazy people and
yep,
they're digging up folks in the woods.
yeah.
So,
That makes
that's
sense.
probably why I roll in that direction. You know, I'm hoping that I'm just not, yeah, connecting with a lot of psychopaths, but I was just saying.
I mean, it's a safety and protection mechanism too. I get it. I would probably go with the person that's saying Paris over the woods uh, uh, these days right now. So I get it.
Yes. Should we all want to connect with nature? Yes. And do I? Yes, because I try to get out in nature like every day and, hike occasionally and all the lovely outdoor things like that. However, if I'm defining travel, that is not it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Um,
might be self-care, that might be an adventure, that might
right.
be something that's just fun, but it really is important because sometimes when you're not only talking to other people, but when you're talking to yourself,
Yeah.
you really need to know what you mean when you say certain things.
Right.
What does this really mean to me?
Yeah.
So that if once you know what it means to you, then you can articulate it to somebody else. Because now we're talking about if these are your core values and you want to just have other people in your sphere that
Right.
have similar core values, then you really do need to define them
Yeah.
and know what these things mean to me so that I can either articulate or recognize
Yep.
in someone else that we have similar core values or we're not even on different pages. We are just in two different books. We're just using the same words.
Right. Exactly. No, that's the definition of it. Defining it for yourself is the most important part, right? Like whatever word you choose doesn't matter. It's defining it for yourself. So that's the most important part. So yeah.
And so, do you have any, like, maybe easy things that, somatic exercises that people can do? Because and that's another thing that we hear. It's like, "Oh, we're doing body work, and we're doing somatic this and somatic that," and somatic is body. But, again, there's so many different definitions of what people are actually doing
Right.
when they say they're doing somatic work. So
Yeah. There's a lot of different tools and a lot of different ways to do it. And there's a lot of things that we do naturally ourselves and we don't even realize it. One of the tools that I teach um, at the beginning of like working with somebody is is called orienting, and I teach it at the beginning because at the beginning it's really hard for people to slow down. We're still in that mindset that I need to be doing something all of the time, and slowing down can be scary. So um, the first tool well, outside of doing the breathwork stuff, but the first tool I teach is called orienting. And it is one way to do orienting is just for 1 to 2 minutes, just scanning the room you're in slowly and just taking a moment to like scan just up to down and all around. And I'm doing it right now on because I know this we're not on video, but
we are on video.
oh, we will be on video. Okay, amazing. Um,
So they
so
hear
so they can see me. Great. But literally it's 2 minutes of just taking a moment to just scan your environment and go all the way around the room very slowly, slower than you would even think is possible, and scanning up to down from the room that you're in. And your mind is going to wander, and that's okay. Just come back to like whatever you're focusing on. You may think this is dumb, whatever, but again, I promise you it works. And just looking around the room very slowly. You may notice yourself take a yawn or a deep breath spontaneously. That's just your nervous system calming down. That's you being in your body. You may notice like you've got clothes to like fold or whatever. That's fine. Moving. That's we're just scanning in the environment. You may see something beautiful outside of your window and you may want to pause on it, right? Like a tree or whatever it is. That's that's great. Just letting your body and your eyes lead you and guide you in that moment. Um and again, your mind might chatter and be like this is dumb or I don't feel anything or whatever. Try to put that aside and just come back to like focusing and scanning the room. And what this is just helping you start to tell your body, well, it's calming for your nervous system, but it's also um, starting to tell your body that it's okay to be in my body and it's okay to slow down. And this is not a one and done thing. You may have to do it a couple of different times. I have my clients do it on start doing it on a daily basis, just for again, it's a couple minutes a day, and just getting yourself used to slowing down and being in your body and learning what that actually means. And so that's one tool that I use and that I teach my clients. It's also a really good tool to use if you're going into a meeting that, right before a meeting you're about to go into, if you're super nervous, because again, it's really calming for your nervous system. Or doing doing it after, you've had some type of awkward conversation or confrontation or something difficult just happened, right? Just taking that moment to yourself to scan your environment, because you're also telling your brain that, and your body, that I am safe now, right? Like, I can see everything around me and I am safe. It's a natural way uh, that we as humans and animals, you'll see animals look around and scan their environment after they've been chased or something by a predator to be like, okay, I'm safe now. I got away, right? So that's there's science behind it as well. Um, but that's a really just a simple yet really effective tool to start doing and integrate into your day to day. Um, a lot of times when I tell my clients about this, they're like, "Oh, I do that when I'm just out, like, in my yard and I just start looking around and whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, we do this. It's an natural thing that we do as human beings, as animals, as mammals, right? So you are already doing it in a lot of different ways. It's just recognizing it. And so yeah, that's one tool.
And it's interesting. Well, I didn't used to, but on my last trip, I did something similar. Um, because on one of my trips, I thought I had all my stuff together and I had my favorite plain pillow, and I'm one of those people who I'm always searching for the perfect pillow, whether it's to sleep on in my bed or to travel with.
Yeah.
So I found the one I really wanted, and I thought I had it clipped onto my backpack really well. And when I got into the transpo, I realized I didn't have it. So apparently I didn't snap it
Yeah.
properly and it fell off and well, nobody picked it up and gave it to me. So
Their fault.
so on my last trip, because I was flying on a regional flight, and so you have to it's from in LAX because they're redoing a lot of the
Right.
airport for the upcoming Olympics, right? So, a lot of stuff is just out of sorts.
Right.
So, it's like a hike and a half. Swear to God, it's like almost a mile to get to where you gotta go. And then you get on a transportation that takes you to the plane, and it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
It feels like an ordeal, but it's
Yeah.
a whole thing. So, so that last time I flew it was just like, "Okay, I've got my backpack, I've got my pillow, I've got my sweater." And I just kept looking at the thing.
Yep.
So for every step of the way, it was like, "Okay, I have my backpack, I got my pillow." Oh, and then it's like, "Is the water bottle there?" I got the water bottle, I got the backpack. And so I just kept naming the things that I had to carry. And it's like, "Yes, I got my carry-on." So I was constantly naming the things that I had to carry, that
Yep.
I needed to have with me. But it also, in the same vein, calmed me down because every time I realized I had all my stuff, I was like, "Okay, I got all my stuff."
You're like, I'm
And,
okay.
so I'd name it and for every move, I just name everything. I've got my this, I've got my that, you know? It's like, "All right, they're supposed to have 5 things." And I, named all 5 things, and it's like, "Okay, next step."
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're getting off, and I named them as I was getting off, it's like, "Okay." And so for each time and, for some people, they probably thought I was insane, I was like, "I don't care."
But it was working for you, and that's what
Exactly.
with any of these, tools, you find what works for you, and orienting is just a form of engaging with your senses, right? That was engaging what I did was engaging with sight, but you can do it with touch, you can do it with naming things, you can do it with like just touching yourself or hearing something, right? Like there's so many different things, but it's the engagement with that and coming back to the present moment and what you're doing with the like, I have my pillow, I have my water bottle, I have, right? That is being in the present moment very, very literally, like, right? So it's finding what works for you, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and one of the things that just want to impress upon the listeners is like, yeah, there's so many different tools out there. It's not one size fits all. So I might have a set of tools that I use. Ashley might have a set. There may be crossover. You might find somebody else who uses different things. So if they give you something in it and you find like, okay, this is not achieving the result that I would like, ask them.
Yeah.
Ask them. It's like,
Yes.
do you have a different thing that I can do? Or maybe that becomes the focus of one of our conversations. It's like, okay, well, what is happening when you're doing this? Or why do you feel like it's not working for you? And then we can go deeper and then maybe uncover something that was in your blind spot
Yeah.
that without us you wouldn't see. Because a lot of times your coach is like your side view mirror and your rear view mirror. So we're gonna see things that you might miss. Or you might have looked in that mirror and you didn't see anything
Right.
because yes, it was in your blind spot. You know, 'cause if we're going to
Exactly.
use driving as an analogy, that happened to me just recently. I was driving, I'm in a full-size sedan, and I looked in my mirror, and I was about to change lanes, and then I hear this horn blaring. Well, this little car apparently darted out of somewhere and was in my blind spot when I looked.
Oh,
And then as I go to change lanes, there he is.
yeah.
And thank God there was no accident because he did the horn thing and I didn't change lanes and blah, blah, blah. But if you think of your coach as your side view mirror
Yeah.
or the horn that
Or
alerts
that
you
whole,
when
yeah.
something is
Both, right?
flying by,
Yeah.
because he was doing way out of the speed limit because he came up like a bat out of hell
Yeah.
on my side, and well, I guess that's just LA too.
That yeah, that unfortunately happens more often than it should here. So
But I mean, you get the idea, right? So if you have somebody who's going to be your horn and your side view mirror, we're going to see things that you just might not see
right.
because you've been in the pattern for so long that it's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's calling out, it's helping you to see those patterns and calling them out for you. Um, Back to what you were saying earlier, though, too, related to that, is that being able to have that open communication with your coach too, right? If something's not working for you, with you, or for you, or if you need something else, or like you said, or if we just need to talk about it and be like, okay, why is it not, like, what's going on there, right?
Right.
So I love that. Like that's the most impactful way for us to be your blind spots is also feeling um safe enough with your coach, which we have, that's on us to create that environment, but to also to be able to, like, bold enough to also bring that up too. So, yeah.
So if people want to find you, how can they do that?
The easiest way is on Instagram. I'm at Coach Ashley DelBello. You can also go to my website. It's ashleydelbello.com, and I can spell that out if that's easy, or I know you'll also probably put it in the show notes there too.
Yes, I will put it in the show notes.
Awesome. Thanks.
Well, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sophia, for having me. It's been fun. So thank you.
You're welcome.